Greetings, I'm Professor K, and in this short video presentation we're going to look at the difference between server and scope options in Windows Server 2016. So if we look at the scope for our Server 2016 network, underneath scope options you'll see that we have router, DNS servers, and our domain name. These are three of the most common configurations that we would apply for scope options, and this information will be handed out to the clients when they contact the DHCP server for that configuration information that they need to be able to navigate your network. Now underneath server options, you'll notice that you have exactly the same thing, so let's take a look at that. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to configure the options. Let's start off with the router, because that's one of the most common. I'm just going to go ahead and give it an IP address. I'm going to go ahead and hit add. I'll say apply, I'll say OK. Now we have that router option underneath our server options. I'll right click in here and I'll go back in, I'll configure another one. Let's go ahead and do the DNS server. Now you can put in as many DNS servers as you need to. You may not want to have just a single DNS server that takes people to the outside. If that's your ISP's DNS server and it fails, people will not be able to access the internet and resolve a name to an IP address. So you can add multiple DNS servers, such as an Open DNS server or the Google DNS servers, and you can set them and configure them to be backup DNS servers using this particular option. So let's go ahead and type in our DNS server, and we'll go ahead and hit add. So I'm also going to add the Google DNS server. And if you would like to add additional free open source DNS servers, you can just go to Google and type in OpenDNS, and you can get more IP addresses for DNS servers that you can add into this. So go ahead and say apply, say OK, and now we have two options underneath our server options that match what we have up inside of our scope. So now we have a router configuration inside of this server scope, and we have a router configuration up inside of our scope options. So if you look at the scope options, you'll see that the router is the same. Now this is something you want to be careful about, because if there is a conflict between these two scopes that we have configured here, between the IP4 and the server options will always win out. So always make sure that you've got the same information so that there won't be a conflict. So in this short video presentation we got to look at the difference between the server and the scope options for Windows Server 2016.